Gold remains one of the most precious and sought-after metals on Earth. To find just 0.2 ounces of it, you need to extract and refine an entire ton of ore. But where does gold actually come from? How did it end up buried in the depths of our planet? And how do we extract it today? The answer will surprise you. Because the story of gold doesn't begin on Earth. It begins billions of years ago, in the heart of dying stars, in events of unimaginable cosmic violence. From the depths of space to the vaults of central banks, gold has traveled an extraordinary path. Stay with me until the end, because every stage of this journey will have its share of surprises. Right here on Stories Behind Everything. Gold is most commonly found in veins of rock that also contain other minerals like quartz and pyrite. These veins formed millions of years ago, and over time, certain regions of the planet accumulated enormous reserves, concentrated in a handful of very special locations. The largest deposits are found in southern Australia, China, South Africa, Peru, and the western United States. But finding where the gold is hidden is anything but simple. Geologists start by studying detailed geological maps, hunting for ancient formations and regions where the Earth's crust has undergone massive transformations, the kind of places where hot water once circulated deep underground, depositing minerals along the way. With the help of satellites and aerial sensors, they detect chemical and magnetic anomalies in the soil, invisible signals that something precious may lie beneath. Then comes the fieldwork. Soil and rock samples are collected, sent to laboratories, and subjected to rigorous chemical analysis. If gold is confirmed, exploratory drilling begins to map out the depth and size of the deposit. And from that moment on, one of the most expensive and logistically complex operations in modern industry kicks into gear. Heavy machinery, controlled explosives, and giant haul trucks all mobilized for a single purpose: to reach the metal hidden below. When gold sits close to the surface, open-pit mining is the method of choice. It starts with stripping away the topsoil and waste rock that blankets the ore. Massive excavators, front-end loaders, and purpose-built haul trucks work in coordinated shifts around the clock, moving staggering quantities of material every single day. The terrain is carved into wide horizontal steps called benches, a design that keeps the machine stable and prevents dangerous landslides. These mines can plunge hundreds of feet into the earth and stretch for miles in every direction, forming craters so vast they're visible from space. Where the rock is particularly stubborn, engineers drill deep holes, pack them with controlled explosives, and bring the mountain down on their own terms, shattering thousands of tons of rock in seconds. The broken ore is then scooped up and loaded onto haul trucks that rumble toward the crushing facilities. But not all gold gives itself up that easily. When deposits are buried in deep, narrow veins far below the surface, open-pit mining simply won't reach them. That's when everything changes, and underground mining takes over. Teams of engineers and workers carve tunnels and galleries directly into the rock, following the exact path of the gold-bearing layers. The tunnel walls are reinforced with sprayed concrete and steel bolts to protect the workers inside. Powerful ventilation systems push fresh air deep into the shafts while pulling out heat and toxic gases. Because temperatures underground can climb above 122 degrees Fahrenheit, every shift operates under continuous safety monitoring, with drainage systems constantly pumping out groundwater that would otherwise flood the workings. Inside those tunnels, pneumatic drills bore precise holes into the rock face, following a carefully engineered blast plan. High-powered explosives are loaded in, connected by detonating cords and electronic timing systems accurate to the millisecond. The charges fire in a rapid sequence, fractions of a second apart, breaking the rock cleanly and efficiently, while keeping vibrations and structural damage to a minimum. Once the dust settles and the air clears, operators move back in to load the broken rock into articulated underground vehicles. That material is hauled to crushers, broken down further, and sent up to the surface via ramps, conveyor belts, or vertical shafts. Now comes the part most people never see, the processing stage, where raw rock is transformed into gleaming gold. At the processing plant, the ore first passes through a series of crushers that break it into progressively smaller pieces. Then, it enters massive ball mills, giant rotating cylinders packed with steel balls that grind the rock down into a fine powder. This grinding stage is absolutely essential. It's what frees the gold particles locked inside the rock, making them available for the chemical extraction that follows. That powdered ore is then mixed with water and chemical reagents to create a thick liquid slurry called mineral pulp. This slurry is pumped into large separation tanks, and this is where the real magic happens. 3 main methods are used depending on the ore type. In flotation, air bubbles are injected into the pulp. Gold particles cling to those bubbles, float to the surface, and are skimmed off as a rich froth. In gravity separation, it's simpler. Gold is heavy, so it sinks while lighter waste floats away. And when gold is too finely dispersed to be captured either way, cyanidation steps in. A diluted sodium cyanide solution is added to the pulp, dissolving the gold out of the rock. The gold is then pulled back out of that solution either by adding zinc, which triggers a chemical reaction that releases the gold in solid form, or by passing it through activated carbon, whose porous surface captures the microscopic gold particles like a sponge. That concentrated gold is then filtered, dried, and loaded into furnaces burning at over 1,830 degrees Fahrenheit. The intense heat melts everything. And as it does, the remaining impurities separate out, leaving behind a stream of pure, molten gold. That liquid metal is poured into graphite molds and left to cool into solid bars called bullions, the universal currency of banks and refineries the world over. But even at this stage, the gold isn't quite finished. It still carries traces of silver, copper, and other metals. To reach true purity, it goes through electrolytic refining. The impure gold is shaped into an anode and lowered into a conductive solution. An electrical current is switched on, and atom by atom, pure gold detaches from the anode and migrates across the solution, depositing itself onto the cathode in near-perfect crystalline form. What comes out the other side is 99.99% pure. 24 karat gold, the highest standard in the world. It's melted one final time and cast into certified bars ranging from a few grams to nearly 27 pounds, ready to travel to banks, investors, and refineries across the globe. From a dying star billions of years ago, to a vein of rock deep underground, to a bar of pure gold sitting in a bank vault, few materials on Earth have made a journey quite like this one. Gold isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because every ounce of it represents one of the most remarkable stories in the universe. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a like, share it with your friends, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.